You are sitting on a flight. The aircraft changes course, then you hear it over the intercom. Something that makes the entire cabin go quiet. The pilot just declared an emergency. Most passengers assume the worst, that something has gone catastrophically wrong, that the aircraft is in serious danger. In most cases, they're wrong. I am a licensed aircraft maintenance engineer. Let me show you what actually happens, and why the reality is very different from what you are imagining. Not all emergencies are equal. Aviation uses a structured system to communicate the severity of a situation. At one end, PAN PAN, urgency. Something needs attention, not immediately life-threatening, but requires priority handling. Camera move. At the other end, Mayday, distress, immediate danger to the aircraft or the people on board, requires immediate assistance. Two words, two completely different situations, both called emergencies by passengers, both handled very differently by the system. In rare cases, it is Mayday. In 2009, Captain Sullenberger declared Mayday over New York. From a declaration to water landing on the Hudson, less than 3 minutes. The system responded in seconds. Every passenger survived. Most declared emergencies in commercial aviation are PAN PAN level. A medical situation on board, a minor technical issue, a pressurization warning that needs investigation. The crew declare, the system responds, the aircraft lands. Most passengers never know the full details until after they are on the ground. The moment a crew decides to declare, the workload in the flight deck increases significantly. One pilot is flying the aircraft, the other is communicating with air traffic control. Warnings or alerts may still be active in the cockpit. All of this happening simultaneously, all of it being managed. The checklists are not improvised. Every scenario that can reasonably be anticipated has a documented procedure. The crew trained for this in the simulator, not occasionally, regularly. When they run the checklist, they are not guessing. They are executing a process that has been refined over decades of aviation safety data. ATC responds immediately. The airspace is cleared. A direct routing to the nearest suitable runway is issued. The crew confirms the runway length, the approach type, the weather. Everything is cross-checked. The controllers have one job in that moment: get that aircraft on the ground safely. Everything else waits. From declaration to landing, the crew are never without a plan, not for a single moment. While the aircraft is still in the air, the ground is already moving. Airport fire and rescue services are notified immediately on declaration. They position at the runway threshold before the aircraft arrives, not when it lands, before. From the cabin, you might see fire trucks lining the runway as you approach. That looks alarming. It is supposed to look that way, and because those vehicles are there to respond instantly if needed. Medical services are on standby. Ground handling is briefed. The gate is cleared. This is not a reaction. It is a system executing exactly as designed. In most emergency landings, the passengers disembark normally. They walk off the aircraft. They collect their bags. They go home. The emergency declaration protected them, and they never fully appreciated how much was happening around them to make that outcome possible. Now let me tell you what happens after. Every aircraft that is operated under an emergency declaration goes through a maintenance review before its next flight. Not a visual check, a documented review against the nature of the emergency. That review is not paperwork. It is the final safety check before that aircraft carries passengers again. If the emergency was technical, a system warning, an engine indication, a pressurization event, the relevant system is inspected, tested, and signed off before that aircraft moves again. I have been involved in these reviews. The level of scrutiny applied after an emergency declaration is significantly higher than a routine line check. Nothing is assumed to be fine. Everything is verified. That aircraft does not fly again until a licensed engineer puts their name on a document that says it is airworthy. That signature is the final layer of the system. So what does an emergency declaration actually mean for you as a passenger? In everyday life, emergencies are chaos, unpredictable, often unmanageable. In aviation, an emergency declaration triggers a checklist, a coordinated response plan, and a controlled outcome. Every layer of the system activates: the crew, the controllers, the ground teams, the engineers. Nothing is left to chance, all of it moving, all of it coordinated, all of it pointing toward one outcome. The declaration is not a sign that something went wrong. It is a sign that everything is working exactly as it should. An emergency landing is not a failure. It is the system doing its job. The crew trained for it, the ground prepared for it, the maintenance team reviewed it. Every layer of aviation, the pilots, the controllers, the engineers, the emergency services, exists to make sure that when something needs attention, it gets the maximum possible response. That is not luck, that is design. And the reason you rarely hear about it? Because it works. I am an aircraft maintenance engineer. I have signed off aircraft after emergency declarations. The system works every time. The system works every time. If you want to understand what is actually happening every time you fly, subscribe. I break it down in a way that actually makes sense. See you in the next one.